Hey there, Mama. I'm Courtney Cecil, proud mom of two boys and an organizational culture and behavior change executive. And I'm a believer in building a movement to help the burned out, overwhelmed working moms reclaim their control and free time so that they can confidently remain in the workforce without losing their sanity or themselves. Now, let's get started. Hey there, real quick before we dive in. If you're a working mom who's constantly asking, how am I supposed to get it all done? Or you think most days something has to give, then stop what you're doing right now and add this to your calendar. So on October 20th, I'm hosting a live training called From Surviving to Thriving as a Working Mom. And inside, I'm breaking down the 3 exact shifts that I made that helped me finally stop feeling like I'm behind all the time. Actually in a place where I can enjoy putting my kids down to bed at night, even after long work days, and most especially still have time and energy left in the tank for me, for self-care without guilt. So this isn't fluff. It is the real life system that helped me go from burned out consultant and mom of 2 to running my house like an absolute boss in my career with more ease, clarity, and time freedom. It's happening on October 20th from 12 to 1:30 Eastern. So get that in your calendar. It's totally free. It's virtual and it will absolutely change the way you manage your time forever. I promise you. So even if you can't attend, if you were listening to this and you're saying, gosh, that sounds really great, and it's either on a day that you cannot attend, or if you're listening to it later and it's already passed, I still would love for you to register so that way you can get notified as soon as the next one happens. So pause the episode right now and go register at workingmomsmovement.com/live-training, or you can get the link in the show notes, but make sure you do it now before the day runs away from you. Okay, now let's tune in. Hey y'all, I'm your host, Courtney Cecil, and welcome back to another episode of the Life Management System. So it's been a while since I've dropped a single snack-sized episode, but I'm here for it now in the spirit of fall and busy weeks. So if you were like some of my clients, they're absolutely drowning in fall. And for those of us, particularly with kids that are school age, we know that summers are just next level. But here's the thing about fall. Not only is it when activities pick up, it's when business picks up. It is when everybody is trying to cram everything in before the holidays because most businesses have 2 really hot seasons. It is fall and it is January when everybody else goes heads down. So if this is you, not saying that you're not busy on a regular day, but if you are like my clients where you are just in the throes of busy season, or even my husband in his role, exceptionally busy. If that's you, here are the things that you can do to survive right now. And I'll preface this going in. None of these are going to be earth-shattering, so please don't expect something that will be an absolute mic drop moment. But instead, you are going to get the tips that I have and what I'm actually facilitating my clients through when they are in the thick of it, because these are the fundamentals that you actually need to get through survival. So the first thing I want you doing is just naming it. Listen, I'm not going to just tell myself this is my busy season. I'm going to tell other people. When you do that, you are setting expectations with others that you're going to be slow to respond, that perhaps you are going to be less available for them. And in doing so, it does 2 things. One, it honors the relationship or the deliverable or request of you, but also it organically just relieves some form of pressure that you otherwise might feel to deliver something that you're unable to, even if the delivery that you're being asked for is just a simple text message response. So if that's you, just name it, just own it, just let people know, because that's inherently going to reduce some of the pressure on you. The second thing to consider is actually identifying what your non-negotiables are. So when I get super busy, like right now, I'm on the heels of coming back from 3 weeks away from home. I went to Croatia and Montenegro and Bosnia and Herzegovina for 10 days with girlfriends. Exceptional, by the way. Highly recommend it. Both the girlfriend trip and those 3 countries. I mean, Croatia was just unreal. I've been to many countries, 40-ish countries in my quest to hit 50 countries by 50, and Croatia might just be my top. So there was that. I was back for literally only 2 days. And then I turned right around for another 5 to go to a music festival called Ocean's Calling, for any like 90s, early 2000s pop rock, alternative rock type fans, you got to check out the playlist. It was absolutely epic. But if you think about that, it was like 10 days gone for a broad trip, like massive ass kicking trip, and then back for two, then gone for another five, very, very intense days. It's feeling like a lot. And I'm about to keep traveling. I'm going to Blacksburg. I'm going to surprise my oldest with a trip to LA to see my brother and take him to Harry Potter for his birthday. Like I am feeling the tension. And by the way, this has nothing to do with me being self-employed now and being able to do this stuff. This is the kind of thing that I do in corporate too. Like I really prioritize what's important to me and just pound it out and figure out how to make it all work. So I'm in the thick of it. And the only way that I can survive when I get in these stages is to be super clear with what's non-negotiable to me and then only do those things and let the other stuff go. So for me, it's I need my bedtime pampering. I spend and invest a lot of money in my esthetician. I have all the lotions and potions. I've worked really hard to get my skin in a place where it is now. I have like massive chronic hormonal problems with my skin, both melasma, adult acne, that sort of thing. So I'm going to take that responsibility very seriously. And my teeth too. I've invested a ton in my teeth. I'm going to take both of those, my lotions and potions and my teeth very seriously. So I'm not negotiating or skimping on my bedtime routine. Even at like 2 a.m. If I go to bed at 2 a.m., it's amazing how I find time to do that. It's just that's what happens with when you form habits. The second for me is putting my boys down to bed. I really want to be able to have like 10 to 15 minutes where I'm fully present for each of them. So those are my non-negotiables, but everything else I'm clearing out. I am not taking calls, particularly any non-urgent calls for work. I'm only tending to my clients. I am tending to any like major business development opportunities and then literally nothing else at work. And then at home, the same. Like my house is an absolute disaster now. And anybody that knows me knows that that generally doesn't happen. But I gotta let all that stuff go. Those are non-negotiables. The third thing to do, and this is how I personally identify like what's a real non-negotiable for me. I call it the funeral test. And that is very somber. It's I don't know. I've got to feel like I've got to figure out a better analogy to name it. But what I mean by the funeral test is simply this. Again, gosh, it was in November. My mom's best friend passed away. It was not unexpected, but even when you know it's inevitable because somebody is sick and in dealing with something, you never really know when it's going to happen. And that's the way it was with her friend. When she lost her friend, it just happened to be the day before I was flying to Aruba with my best friend from college to celebrate my 40th. And I was getting back from that trip the day before, or maybe even after. Gosh, I was hosting people for Thanksgiving in my house. So it was like two back-to-back weeks of crazy. And when my mom's best friend died, I couldn't not be there for my mom. And I couldn't not be there for the family that was being left behind. There are people that I naturally care about too. And I call that the funeral test because when that happened, when I'm already in the heels of some really big things, balancing two jobs, I was in corporate, I had this, I was going out of the country. I was hosting for Thanksgiving. And when that happened, I had to get super clear on what an actual priority was, what I actually needed to get done, because everything else had to wait. So that's kind of what I mean when I talk about non-negotiables is apply the funeral test. If you unexpectedly have to leave town today because you need to fly to another place to visit and celebrate somebody that means something to you, would you be able to do that? Like, and if you did, what actually needs to get done in order to make that happen? So if you are extra busy, apply that thinking. If somebody died, then what? Or if that feels extra dark and it doesn't resonate with you, maybe try out a couple other examples. Like, what happens if your best friend throws you a surprise birthday party? Okay, well, chances are you're going to figure out the few critical things you need to get done that night. And otherwise, you're going to be in the moment and have a ton of fun with your friends. Or a fire drill happens at work. What do you do when that happens? You grab your essentials, you perhaps take your computer with you and like send that one critical email on the side of the building when you're outside waiting, and then you close it up and you leave. So those are examples of things like, when push really comes to shove, the things you're getting done in those moments are the things that are actual non-negotiables or essentials for that extra, extra, extra busy time. Same goes with the daycare calls. And by the way, your kid's sick or the power goes out, which naturally happens. So in the 2 days I was back from Croatia, I had 2 days. One of them I devoted to work, and the other one I devoted to getting myself turned around, like unpacking, repacking. And I'll be darned if at 5:30 when I wrapped up my workday, the power went out. So here I am scrambling because like it's getting dark a lot faster, and I'm just frantically trying to pack everything as quickly as possible before it gets completely dark, and I can't do it at all. So the power goes out. Or if your favorite celebrity, like Oprah's calling you and she wants to meet today, or for me, it is Taylor Swift or Adam Grant. Adam Grant, for anybody who doesn't know, is a org psych professor at Wharton, and I'm a huge fan of his, particularly coming from the behavior space. So, if your favorite celebrity calls and like, hey, yo, girl, I just heard that you're my biggest fan. I want to meet today. Are you available at 3? Abso-freaking-lutely I am. Like, I'm going to make that happen. So, regardless of the reason that you are busy or that you are, unavailable. It doesn't have to be a funeral. That's how you can help process what your non-negotiables are. Okay. After that, you drop any non-essentials. So think things like, I'm not doing the dishwasher. I'm going to use paper plates. Or this pile of laundry is just going to happen. In fact, that's when I've actually invested in all of my extra socks and underwear. It's because I let those busy weeks happen. I mean, if you've been here for a while, you know that I don't do my own laundry. I have a house manager for that. It is not my highest and best use. And frankly, I doubt it's your highest and best use either. It takes all of us to make this world go round, and my house manager saves my butt every single day. But before she came around, when I was actually doing it because I was working from home more consistently, there were weeks that I just couldn't fit in a load of laundry. So what did I do? I bought more socks and underwear. It helped me like get through those really hard weeks. So let those non-essentials happen. Just let them sit for now. It's probably going to bother you a little bit for sure, particularly if you are home and you are seeing that mess in your face. But you know what? Sleep's more important, friends. You got to let that sleep happen. Okay, moving on. Think about the busy work, like the heavy, heavy, heavy brain work that needs your maximum energy. Move along to that next, because it's important that you tackle that heavy brain work when your energy is at your best. So my energy actually kind of peaks at night after the boys go down. That's when there are no distractions and I can really sit there and get work done. But when I'm in the office, I try to always spend my first hour to 2 hours doing the things that really require the most focused attention. So I don't start my meetings until 10 to 11 because I'm getting that busy stuff done first. Then I'm going to give other people my attention. And then I just have the big rocks out of the way. So make sure you're managing when you're doing your heavy lifting, like that heavy brain work. And then when you are, manage your distractions. And you should probably be doing this in your busiest weeks anyway. I kid you not, when I left for Croatia, I probably had 40 unread text messages and certainly even more emails. And anybody that knows me knows that's not my style. Like my friends from college, all of the friends that run around with both Richard and me together, they always know that I'm the one they need to contact for something because Richard will never respond. And I won't say that I'm like extra, extra consistent with responding now. I do have to triage. But what I'm doing is seeing the ones that are coming in that I actually need to prioritize. So as an example, I've been decorating the rumpus room, like the bonus room in my house. It has been an empty, like completely empty room for the past 8 years since we moved into the house. And we're finally getting around to investing in outfitting it. And the first step in doing that is putting in some built-ins. So that's it's time consuming, it's an investment. And I don't know, I guess I severely underestimated how much time and energy that would require. But you better believe that my priority is going to be responding to my GC that's helping make that all possible. Because he is doing me the favor. We're having to coordinate schedules. That's a giant pain in the ass because naturally I'm not his only job. So when things like that happen, when I see those text messages coming in, yeah, I'm messaging Dennis ASAP. But other people, like some of my old friends from my dorm freshman year, as an example, like she was one of them. One of my girlfriends is one of them. She knows I love her. She knows I'll get around to it eventually. But in the moment, I just kind of had to let that sit. And then it was multiple days into my trip in Croatia where we were in the car on the way to some waterfalls. And I finally had 3 hours to myself to sit there and like work through those text messages. So I got around to them. I needed to do it on my schedule. So keep your phones down, keep your inboxes closed, keep your TVs off. Like, I know those sound obvious, but it's amazing how many people still feel obliged to keep with whatever the routine is. So I only look at social media the last 15 minutes. Like, yes, I'm in my DMs all the time. Um, and so if you're talking to me on my Instagram account, which is at Working Moms Movement, if you get a message from me, it is truly me. But other than that, and by the way, I also do that on my computer because it keeps me from getting distracted. I send all my DMs on my computer. But beyond that, from a personal perspective, I only allow myself to get on my social media for 15 minutes a night, and it's the last 15 minutes before I go to bed. Like even on my busiest of weeks, that's not going to happen though. So I'm still extra disciplined, but I just don't have capacity for that, or I can't make capacity because if I make capacity for that, then it sacrifices my sleep, and I'm already not sleeping enough for my own taste. So distractions down. Okay, moving on then. This is a popular ADHD tactic as well. So if you tend to have ADHD, or if you're also suffering in one of those extra busy weeks, instead of letting yourself get distracted by your to-do list, just write it down. Every time something hits your brain, add that to a running task list. And that way, when you've survived the week, you actually have something to go back to. And that's when you can triage those tasks. That's when you can either tackle them, figure out when on your calendar they're going to happen, add them to your to-do list, or just flat out ignore them because they've already settled. And by the way, if you think they're an actual to do and you don't know whether it's an actual to do or a wish list, then I'd encourage you to go get my free guide on how to productively manage your to do list and to keep it from controlling and overwhelming you. So, in that free guide, I talk about the difference between an actual to do and a wish list because what happens is so often we think of something and we think it's a wish list item or a to-do list item, but it's actually a wish list item. And what happens when we confuse the two is we start putting all this pressure on our shoulders to get the stuff done that materially doesn't matter, or we're not going to forget, or it can happen some other time in the year. So if you don't know the difference and you feel like you need help in managing your to-do list, and I encourage you to get that. I'll drop the link in the show notes, but you can get it at workingmomsmovement.com/to-do, TODO. So again, you can get that in the show notes. Okay, so moving on, the most foundational thing, when you were in the busy weeks, take deep breaths. And it sounds so freaking hokey, I know this, because I was one of those people that I do run a million miles a minute, even to this day. I just am a fast-paced, clipped person that can manage a lot. And I know that a lot of people don't run like that and don't have that level, that engine. But even me, I underestimated how important it was to take deep breaths until I needed to retrain myself to sleep better. And if you struggle with sleep, I've got a podcast episode on that too. DM me sleep and I will send that to you. But I needed to retrain myself to sleep because I had massive sleep anxiety. I really struggled to get to bed. I struggled to fall asleep. Then I would constantly wake up in the middle of the night and struggle to go back to sleep again. I was getting like 3 hours of sleep on a good day. So through that process, when I started doing a lot of energy work, I just became to appreciate what all of these really smart people before me had been telling me all along, and I just didn't listen. Deep breaths make a difference. They really do. So I'm constantly deep breathing at night when I'm laying in bed and trying to get myself to sleep. It is usually what I'm doing when my whole body just shuts off. But in the heat of the day too, when I'm transitioning tasks, like if I ever got out of a meeting early and have a minute to transition, that's what I'm doing. Now, I should say the deep breath reminder on Apple annoyed the crap out of me. I didn't need that. But I am intentional about using those micro moments that happen through the day to take those really deep breaths, and they do make a difference. They help you regulate your energy. Okay, friends, the busy weeks aren't going to break you, I promise. What's going to break you, though, is if you are expecting yourself to run at that pace forever, because your job right now is just to survive this week and to move through it with intention, not perfection. And then you can settle in when the busy 2 to 3 weeks is behind you. So this stuff is just to help you get through. If you feel like this is chronic, though, you know where to find me. Again, at Working Moms Movement on Instagram. A lot of what I help my clients with, not all of them. So, some of them are dealing with some other things like imbalance at home or making some massive career decisions. But a lot of them are struggling with some form of just feeling constantly behind on a hamster wheel. So this should never feel like your norm. This is, and the advice that I just gave you is how to get through those like extra busy weeks. So if you feel like it's more chronic, by all means, please reach out to me. Send me an email directly, Courtney at workingmomsmovement.com. I personally answer everyone. Send me a message on Instagram. I personally message everyone. I would love to talk to you and better understand what your problems are and how I might be able to better serve you. But until next time, friends, good luck surviving. And if nobody's told you lately, you're doing a great job. You've got this, mama. Hey, friend, thanks for tuning in. Add the Life Management System podcast to your favorites so you don't miss my practical, snack-sized tips to help you manage the mental load and create a life that works for you. If we're not yet connected on Instagram, come say hi at Working Moms Movement for daily inspiration. And if this is your third or 10th time listening, it's time you bless the small business. Share this episode with another working mom in the thick of it and take 30 seconds to rate and review. It helps more than you know. And if you're ready to go from surviving to thriving and make your day-to-day actually sustainable, email me at Courtney@workingmomsmovement.com. Mention this podcast for 25% off my coaching services. I also speak and host workshops for organizations that want to support working parents from the inside out. Reach out if you think yours is ready. This has been the Life Management System, your shortcut to less chaos and more calm. And here's your reminder to keep managing your life instead of letting it manage you.